Hello, friend, and welcome to Navigating Possibility, the podcast for women physicians who are burned out, overwhelmed, or considering a career change. Whether you're questioning your future in medicine, experiencing burnout, exploring non-clinical careers, or wanting to step into your power with advocacy, this show is here to guide you forward. I'm Dr. Christina Adams, OBGYN and coach for women physicians. I help women in medicine break free from survival mode and reconnect with possibility, regain autonomy, and reclaim the joy in their work that they deserve. Let's get started. Welcome back to Navigating Possibility, the podcast where we explore burnout, boundaries, and the system shaping the lives of women in medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Adams, and today we're diving into a question that comes up over and over in discussions at the ACOG National Meeting this year, in coaching calls, and in conversations with colleagues. Why are female physicians more prone to burnout than our male counterparts? It's the elephant in every hospital hallway. It's the quiet question behind so many tears during evening commutes. And it's something too many of us have internalized as a personal failing. So before we go any further, I want to ground us in this truth. There is nothing wrong with you. Burnout in female physicians is not a character flaw. It's not lack of resilience or grit or time management. It's the system. It's the social expectations that surround medicine and how women in general are supposed, with quotes around that word, to act, be, interact with the world that increase our propensity for burnout. And once you start seeing that, once you have language, data, and names for what you've been experiencing, something shifts. Your self-judgment softens, your clarity sharpens, and suddenly you understand it's not me. It's the structure I'm working inside. So everything I'm going to discuss with you today has data to back it up. I'm discussing 6 issues that increase our likelihood of experiencing burnout compared to our male counterparts. And I'm sure most of you are data nerds like me, so I've put the links to the actual studies about all of this in a blog post on my website. I'll add the link to the post in the show notes if you want to actually look up the studies. Today, I'm going to walk you through some of the biggest systemic contributors to burnout in women physicians, things you've likely felt, but maybe didn't know how to name. And then we'll talk about what we can actually do about it. So let's get into it. Issue number 1 is something called the status leveling burden. So we'll start with something many of you have whispered to yourselves after walking out of a nurse's station or after a conversation with another physician or an administrator. And that thought is they would never talk to a male physician this way. You're not imagining this. There's a name for it. It's called the status leveling burden. This refers to the pressure women face in male-dominated fields from women lower in the institutional hierarchy. Pressure to be equals, to be more approachable, to be less authoritative, and to make up for gender dynamics that none of us created. So in this study that I've linked to in the show notes, researchers interviewed 45 surgeons, 29 women and 16 men, and confirmed what we already know, what we feel in our bodies. There are non-symmetric gendered expectations placed on female physicians, expectations that aren't placed on men. We're expected to be nice. We're expected to be flexible. We're expected to understand their stress even when we're carrying so much more responsibility. We're expected to smile more, bring in treats, get our own gloves in the OR, gather our own wound care supplies in the clinic. And when we comply with those unspoken rules, it costs us in efficiency, in job satisfaction, and in mental energy. It increases risk of attrition. People leave jobs and may even leave medicine because of it. The data validates your experience. You're not imagining the emotional load this creates. It's not all in your head. It's real. Issue number 2 is the leadership double bind. This one hits especially hard for women in academic medicine or in leadership roles in their institutions, and it goes like this. To be seen as competent, we're expected to be decisive, assertive, and confident. Behaviors that are traditionally coded as masculine. But to be seen as likable, we're expected to be warm, nurturing, and agreeable. Behaviors that are traditionally coded as feminine. And those two expectation sets directly contradict each other. So women end up walking a tightrope where the message is be more confident, but not too confident. Speak up, but don't be aggressive. Be warm, but also be efficient. Lead, but don't make anybody uncomfortable. There's no winning in this game. It's not humanly possible to meet this standard. And when you're constantly monitoring yourself through that lens, burnout is inevitable. Next up, let's step outside the hospital. Issue number 3, unpaid labor at home. Even among dual career households, women still carry the majority of the domestic and emotional labor of running a home, the physical and mental work it takes to run a household. And the research backs it up. Globally, inequities in unpaid labor are directly tied to worse mental health outcomes for women. Women aren't just parenting, they're project managing childhood, right? They're not just cooking, they're planning, they're grocery ordering, they're remembering who hates which vegetable. They're not just cleaning, they're noticing what needs to be cleaned. They're not just scheduling appointments, they're tracking who's due for what, when they're due, and why. This mental load is silent, it's invisible, and it's just plain exhausting. And when you pair the relentless demands of medicine with relentless demands at home, it's no wonder you're tired. There aren't enough hours in the day to get everything done. All right, issue number 4, the EHR inbox disparity. So we know intuitively as women physicians that there's a disparity in the expectations patients have of us. We feel that, right? If you've ever looked at your inbox and thought, why does it feel like I have more messages than everybody else? Here's why. It's because you do. Again, there are data here. A study of EHR message use by primary care physicians in the Brigham and Women's Hospital system showed that female primary care physicians receive dramatically more EHR messages from both staff and patients than male physicians. We're talking 24% more staff messages and 26% more patient messages. That's extra notes, extra orders, extra emotional labor, extra pajama time, the time you spend at night in your pajamas in your EHR catching up on work. So if your inbox feels like a second job, that's because it is. And I'm going to talk about how we're going to work on all of these things at the end. So I'm painting a pretty dramatic picture, but here we go with number 5, lower patient satisfaction scores. So let's talk about patient reviews. If you've ever felt stung by an online review, or if you've simply stopped reading them altogether to protect your sanity, you're not alone. One of my favorite quotes about patient reviews is that they're shopping for pain. Like, we don't go shopping for things we don't want, right? So why are we reading our patient reviews? Because it's just shopping for pain. Large analyses show that female physicians are rated more harshly than male physicians, even though patients of female physicians have better outcomes by several measurable standards discussed in studies. There are data for this. Patients penalize women more for perceived lack of warmth and for perceived lack of competence, a double hit that men don't get. So again, studies linked in my show notes. This is a quote from the study, a study that looked at 345,000 online reviews. And the quote is, the findings suggest that patients harbored negative gender biases about the interpersonal manner of female physicians, especially female primary care physicians, and also assess disproportionate penalties related to technical competence for both female primary care physicians and female surgeons. And if you've ever worked in a place where bonuses or evaluations are tied to patient reviews, net promoter scores, or Press Ganey scores, it becomes one more structural disadvantage stacked against female physicians. Issue number 6, the gender pay gap, compensation. Most studies show that women physicians who make up nearly half our workforce are still earning around 75 cents on the dollar compared to male physicians, even after adjusting for hours worked and patient volume. Across a career, that's a $2 million gap. $2 million. It's not subtle. It's not ambiguous. It's not maybe due to different life choices or any of the other things that you see out there when you see this issue discussed online. It's a systemic issue. All right, so take a breath with me. That's a lot. And yes, it's frustrating and it's heavy and it's unfair. And no, it shouldn't be this hard. I share that thought. But as Cy Wakeman says, when you argue with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time. So what can we do? Here's some starting points. Number 1, release the self-blame. Once you see the structural patterns, everything clicks into place. Burnout stops being a personal failure and starts being a predictable outcome of the system. It's not us, it's the system. Number 2, advocate within your organization. Advocate for removing satisfaction scores from pay structures. Advocate for inbox support. Advocate for more administrative help. Advocate for transparent pay scales and equal pay for experience level and workloads. These things don't fix themselves. No one is coming to save us. We have to be our own advocates here. Number 3, push for flexible schedules. So women are expected to work like they don't have kids and to parent like they don't have jobs. It's an impossible standard. And flexibility in schedules matters. It matters for retention, for mental health, for physician satisfaction, which should definitely be an organizational metric in every healthcare organization, and for sanity. Number 4, set boundaries to protect your time. You don't need to be on every committee. You don't have to say yes every time someone asks you to join the latest committee. You don't need to volunteer for every housekeeping task. So things that aren't tied to pay increases or promotion. You don't need to volunteer to be the one to do those things. Speak up when you are required to attend after-hours meetings during peak parenting time. This timing of meetings differentially affects men and women, and it disincentivizes women to take on leadership roles so that they have a seat at the table to address all these other issues that need all perspectives. So say it out loud. Recruit male allies. Male colleagues see the differences in how we're treated. Invite them to speak up on our behalf when they notice it. The concept of he for she. It's in everybody's interests for us to stay in medicine, for women physicians to stay in medicine and not leave because of all of these structural inequities that make it feel impossible to stay. Call out biased interactions, gently but firmly. One of my coaches, Dr. Sasha Shilcutt, has a perfect way to handle this that she talks about all the time. When you see someone say something biased, just say, "Excuse me, could you repeat that?" It's often just enough of a pause to make somebody rethink what they said. Number 7, rebalance home responsibilities. So this is not about perfection, it's about equity. Make a list of what needs to be done. Not you, but you and your partner. If you make the list yourself, that just keeps the mental burden on you. The list has to come from both people. Make the list together, then divide it together. Outsource where possible. Outsource the things that you look at, the tasks that you have to do at home that you go, ugh, I really don't want to do that. Get somebody to do it. Hire somebody to do it. Your time is valuable. And the amount that you would pay someone to do that task that you dread at home, I mean, if you've not ever taken your salary and divided it up by the number of hours that you work and figured out how much you make an hour, you really should do that because your time is valuable and your time spent doing things that you hate is not a good use of that time. So here's the part I really want you to hear. You get to choose. You can work within the system while also advocating to change it. You can stay in medicine and reshape how you show up, or you can decide the system is no longer aligned with the life you want to lead and you can walk away. I'm not encouraging people to do that, but it is a valid choice. All of these are valid, empowered choices, but none of them require you to believe that burnout is your fault. It's not your fault. It's not us. It's the system. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want you to take this with you. It's not you. It's not your fault. And you're not alone in feeling this way. If you want some support navigating your specific situation, boundaries, burnout, leadership, exploring new possibilities, I'd love to walk with you through that with coaching. You can find information on my website. The link is in the show notes. I do one-on-one coaching sessions. Also, I'm still taking names on the wait list for my group coaching program that will kick off in late January. So please go to the website at Christina Adams MD to sign up. Thank you for joining me today on Navigating Possibility. If this episode resonated, please share it with a colleague who needs to hear that she's not alone. And until next time, give yourself permission to rest. And remember that possibility is always within reach. Thank you for joining us today on Navigating Possibility. I hope you found today's topic helpful. If so, please subscribe and leave us a review so that we can get this information out to more women physicians just like you and share it with a friend who might like to hear it. Please visit my website at ChristinaAdamsMD.com to sign up for my email list. I'd love to have you in my community. You can also follow me on Instagram and LinkedIn. My links are in the show notes. Until next time, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye, friend.